Why SMARTIE goals are more effective than New Year's resolutions. All right, let's be honest. It's that time of year again. The clean slate, the fresh start, the chance to finally become the person you've been dreaming about. So you tell yourself, this is the year. This is the year you'll get in shape, write that novel, learn Spanish, and finally get your finances in order. You set your New Year's resolutions and you pretty much doomed yourself from the start. But what if I told you that the reason your resolution has a habit of dying a slow, quiet death by mid-February has almost nothing to do with your willpower? What if the problem isn't you, but the resolution itself? Get this, statistics show that up to 92% of all New Year's resolutions fail. Let that sink in. That means roughly 9 out of 10 earnest attempts at self-improvement just fizzle out. We get caught in the cycle of big ambition and even bigger disappointments. And every single year we blame ourselves. We think we're not disciplined enough, not motivated enough, not good enough. But that's all a lie. The truth is, you've been using the wrong tool for the job. You've been giving your brain a fuzzy, abstract wish and expecting it to execute a concrete plan. That's like trying to build a house with a spoon. So today, we're throwing out that spoon and handing you the power tools. We're going to look at the psychology of why your brain is built to ignore vague goals, and I'm going to give you the science-backed framework that will completely change how you set and achieve your goals forever. Why your brain hates your resolutions. To understand why resolutions are so useless, we need to talk about your brain. It's a magnificent machine, but it's also incredibly lazy in the most efficient way possible. It has to be. It sifts through millions of pieces of information every second, so it loves shortcuts. It craves clarity and absolutely hates ambiguity. And a typical New Year's resolution is purely unfiltered ambiguity. Think about a classic like, I want to be healthier this year. What does that even mean? Eating more salads, running a marathon, sleeping 8 hours a night, all of the above? To your brain, a goal like be healthier is just noise. There's no clear target, no defined finish line, and no way to tell if you're making any progress. It's a dead end. This is where the work of psychologists Edwin Locke and Gary Latham come in. After decades of research, they found that for a goal to actually motivate you, it needs one thing above all: clarity. They discovered that telling someone to do your best is way less effective than giving a specific, difficult target. And be healthier is the ultimate do your best goal. It just doesn't have the specifics to get your brain's planning functions to kick into gear. So without a clear plan, your brain just defaults to its old habits and the very thing you're trying to change. But it gets worse. These vague goals also fail to build something called self-efficacy. That's the term from the legendary psychologist Albert Bandura, and it's simply your belief in your own ability to succeed. It's that little voice in your head that says, I can do this. And you build that belief through what Bandura calls mastery experiences, small real wins that build your confidence. A resolution like get fit is too huge and undefined to get any of these wins. You go to the gym for a week straight. Do you feel fit? Probably not, since you never define what fit looks like. You can't see your progress. Without that feedback loop of seeing small victories, your confidence plummets. You feel overwhelmed, your motivation fails, and that quiet, I can do this, is drowned out by a much louder, see, I knew you couldn't. This is the all or nothing trap that kills most resolutions. One slip up, one missed gym day, and the whole thing feels like a total failure. And finally, most resolutions are just emotionally bland. They're usually born from some vague social pressure. You should lose weight, you should have more money, but they often lack a deep personal reason. They don't tap into the intrinsic motivation, that fire that comes from within. And without that powerful why, your commitment is as thin as paper. When the January hype wears off and life gets in the way, a goal based on shoulds will always be the first thing to go. The fix? From vague wish to action plan. So, we've met the villain, the vague, confidence-killing, soul-crushingly empty New Year's resolution. It's a system designed to fail. But if resolutions are the problem, what is the solution? Enter our hero, the SMARTIE goal. Now, this isn't just another productivity hack with a fancy acronym. It's a total reboot of how we think about change. The SMARTIE framework is a system designed to work with your brain's natural wiring, not against it. It takes that fuzzy pie-in-the-sky wish of a resolution and turns it into a concrete action plan and a genuinely meaningful roadmap for success. You've probably heard the standard SMART goal: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. That's been solid foundation for years, giving us the structure and clarity our brains need. But the version we're talking about today adds two crucial game-changing layers: integrity and emotional. Together, these 7 elements create a framework that doesn't just cover the what and when of the goal, but also digs into the how and why in a much deeper, more human way. This is the power tool your brain has been waiting for. From resolution to reality, Clara's story. Let me tell you about a friend of mine. We'll call her Clara. For years, Clara had the same New Year's resolution. This year, I'm going to get organized. Every January, she'd go out and buy a new planner and cute storage bins filled with hope. She'd spend the whole weekend tearing apart one room, feeling that little rush of accomplishment, and then, well, life would happen. The mail would pile up, the closet would slowly slide back into chaos, and by March, the planners were just gathering dust. She felt like a total failure, stuck on the hamster wheel of good intentions and no results. Her brain, facing the giant fuzzy monster of get organized, just threw its hands up and quit. But last year, she tried something different. Instead of a resolution, she created one single SMARTIE goal. She started with specific. Instead of get organized, she narrowed it down to the one thing that drove her crazy: her home office. Her goal became organize my home office so that I can actually work here without feeling stressed out. Right away, the overwhelming cloud of organize everything shrank to a single manageable target. Then she made it measurable. What did organized actually look like? She defined it: file all the loose papers, give every single supplier home, and have a completely clear desk surface at the end of each workday. Now she had a finish line. She could actually see her progress. Next, she made it achievable. Trying to tackle the whole office in one weekend was a recipe for burnout. So she broke it down into something that would fit in her real life. Spend just 30 minutes 3 times a week on one small section. The desk, then the bookshelf, then the closet. These tiny, consistent efforts started to build those mastery experiences. Every cleared shelf was a little win that told her, hey, you can do this. Then she made sure it was relevant. Why did she even care about this? Because the clutter made her anxious and tanked her productivity. A calm, organized space would directly help her mental health and her freelance writing career, which she was genuinely passionate about. This wasn't something she felt she should do. It was something that she truly wanted to do for herself. She also made it time-bound. Her deadline was clear. The entire office would be organized and have a system by the end of the quarter. This created just enough urgency to keep her from pushing it off until later. And here's where it got really interesting. She made it align with her integrity. Clara realized that being organized wasn't just about having a tidy office. It was about honoring her core value of being reliable and professional. When clients called and she couldn't find their files, or when she missed deadlines because important documents were buried somewhere, she wasn't being the person she truly wanted to be. This goal wasn't just about decluttering. It was about becoming someone who could be trusted, starting with trusting herself to keep her commitments. Finally, she tapped into the emotional power of her goal. Clara didn't just want a clean office. She wanted to feel calm, confident, and in control when she walked into her workspace. She wanted that surge of pride when everything had its place, and that sense of peace that comes from knowing exactly where to find what she needed. She visualized how it would feel to sit at a clear desk, how her shoulders would relax, how her clarity would flow. That emotional connection became her fuel on the days when sorting through paperwork felt tedious. The results? By the end of the quarter, her office was completely transformed. But more importantly, she was transformed. She didn't just clean a room, she proved to herself that she could set meaningful goals and actually see it through. That confidence spilled over into everything else. That's the difference between a flimsy resolution and a life-changing SMARTIE goal. Your SMARTIE Toolkit. Clara's story shows you how it works. Now let's break it down so you can do it for yourself. S is for specific. Your brain needs a crystal clear target. Instead of learn to cook, try master 5 healthy dinner recipes that I can make in under 30 minutes. Instead of read more, read 1 non-fiction book each month. Be precise. It's the first step to turning your wish into a real plan. M is for measurable. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Measuring your progress gives you feedback, and that feedback is like a shot of dopamine to your motivation. It lets you see the needle moving. For Save More, a measurable goal is save $3,000 by the end of the year by setting up an automatic transfer of $250 to my savings account on the 1st of every month. You can literally watch it grow. A is for Achievable. You want to stretch yourself, not set yourself up for failure. Aiming to run a marathon next month when you haven't jogged in 5 years isn't a challenge. It's a fantasy that will probably end in injury. A truly achievable goal would be complete a 5K race in 3 months by following a beginner's training program. It's about finding the sweet spot between way too easy and you're just kidding me. R is for relevant. The goal has to actually matter to you. It needs to connect with your values and what you want for your life. Before you commit, ask yourself, is this really my goal? Or is it what someone else is expecting of me? A relevant goal lights a fire in you, and that kind of motivation is way more powerful than just feeling like you should do something. T is for time bound. A goal without a deadline is just a dream. A deadline creates a healthy sense of urgency that keeps you from pushing it off forever. Setting a target date and maybe even some smaller dates for milestones along the way forces your brain to stop just thinking about the goal and start working towards it. I is for integrity. This is where your goal gets its soul. Your goal must align with your core values and the person you truly want to become. If your goal is to build an emergency fund, connect it to your value of providing security for your family. If you want to start a side business, tie it to your value of independence and creativity. When a goal reflects your authentic self, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like coming home to who you really are. This alignment creates an unstoppable force because you're not just chasing an outcome. You're expressing your deepest values. E is for emotional. This is the rocket fuel of your goal. Every meaningful goal has an emotional core, a feeling you're either moving towards or away from. You don't want to lose weight just to see the numbers on the scale. You want to feel confident, energetic, proud of what you see in the mirror. You don't just want to get out of debt just to have a zero balance. You want peace of mind and freedom, the relief from the constant stress. Connect your goal to a powerful, positive emotion. Visualize how it will feel to achieve it. That feeling is what will pull you through on the days when motivation is low and the path seems unclear. You have the framework. You understand the psychology. You see the difference between vague and a real plan. So what are you going to do about it? Don't wait for the 1st of January. The best time to make change is right now. Here's your challenge. Take one of those old, busted New Year's resolutions or set a new goal that you're thinking about, just one, and run it through the SMARTIE framework. Turn that fuzzy idea into something specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound, built on integrity, and fueled by emotion. Write it down, and then I want you to share it. Drop your SMARTIE goal in the comments below. The simple act of sharing it makes it more real and creates instant accountability. Let's build a community of people who are done with empty resolutions and are ready to see real results. Share your goal and let's start cheering each other on. For years, we've been sold this idea that failing to keep our resolutions is some kind of personal, moral failure, a lack of willpower. But the science is clear. The problem was never us, it was the method. Your brain isn't lazy. It just needs a clear set of instructions and a meaningful reason to follow them. When you shift from vague resolutions to powerful SMARTIE goals, you give your brain the clarity, the feedback, the motivation, and the meaning it needs to make real, lasting change. This is your chance to finally break free from that cycle of hope and disappointment. Stop making resolutions and start achieving your goals. If you're new to my channel or returning for some fresh insights, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Until next time, I'm Christine. Thank you for committing to a life of freedom, choice, and abundance through financial literacy.